What's the biz, everybody? It's your boy Vanker Maker, aka Dansley, and I'm here to give you some true shit. I had touched upon this in a previous video that at some point this series was intended to just be a trilogy, with Ursula's book "Poor Unfortunate Soul" being the final book. But it seemed like Serena Valentino must have had a change of heart and decided to continue on with the story, because throughout the book she does make several references to Maleficent, and it even ends with Cersei and Nanny sensing her heading their way. This novel was published on October 3rd, 2017, only a year after the previous book. This has got to be my favorite one so far. Similar to the third novel, this one combined some of the subplots as well as included characters from the previous books and placed them in great relevancy here, with the nanny getting expanded upon the most and becoming one of my favorite characters in the series. Her relationship with Maleficent is definitely one of my favorite things in this story, as well as her pre-established relationships with Cersei and Tulip Morningstar, respectively. Speaking of Tulip, I really liked how Serena continues to give her character more spotlight in these past two books. I feel like she also has benefited greatly from it. In fact, it seems the character has gained some fans of hers thanks to these books. The pairing of her and Prince Popinjay continues to blossom a bit further. And it was kind of cute reading Popinjay trying to stand up to Maleficent in Tulip's honor, though I would have liked it more for Tulip to have said something to Maleficent and stand up for herself as well. But hey, I'm fine with what Serena is doing with Tulip's character so far. And I did enjoy Maleficent's little rant on the whole Disney princess and prince trope that has existed back in the early Disney films.
Don't you see? Prince Philip is in love with the girl. I cannot have him waking her. You'd think the fairies would have thought something more creative. Practically every princess in peril has been saved by love's first kiss. For goodness sake. Between witches and fairies, can't we think of something more original? I'm weary of this. Why must a young girl need a man to save her? Why can't a princess fight for her own life, break her own curse? Why must it always be a prince? By Hades, I want to kill Prince Philip on principle, just so we don't have yet one more prince kissing some helpless sleeping girl, making her feel like she had to marry him out of gratitude.
Now, this is actually a criticism that has been brought up for years towards Disney, which I do agree with, at least with the early films. Disney films of recent years, even the ones back in the 90s, kind of did away with that trope, or at least flipped it upside down, meaning that there would be times where it's the princess that saved the prince. Now, after Maleficent had said all of that, this is the part when Popinjay gave his retort and said,
Prince Popinjay cleared his throat. I wouldn't expect Tulip to marry me just because I saved her. Not that she needs saving by me or anyone else.
Again, really sweet of Popinjay. Cersei might be my favorite character created for the villain series. I really like how Serena wrote her to be very different from her sisters. Or should I say mothers? Yeah, that's right. The character that up until this point in the story has been constantly referred to as the odd sister's younger sister is revealed to be their daughter, a truth they hid from her. It was only after Maleficent had spilled the beans to her during an argument they had found that they had Cersei had learned the truth, and there's a good yet disturbing reason as to why she's so different from them. During Maleficent's backstory, we learn that When Maleficent turned into a dragon for the first time, she destroyed the fairylands as she transformed and exploded with fire, and Cersei, as a kid, died in the incident. Now, for a while, I assumed what happened afterward was that the Odd Sister revived her little sister, but she had no memories of the incident. But no, the future novels basically confirmed that this Cersei is not the same Cersei that was killed during the explosion. She's a completely different entity made up of their good character traits, which makes them her mother. In doing so, they sacrificed their humanity to create her, which explains why they've become even more demented than they were before. The ostriches themselves don't really play that prominent of a role in this book. In fact, they kind of take more of a back seat. If anything, the only like big role that they play in the book is mostly in through like the flashbacks, right, when telling Maleficent's backstory. It, Other than that, their present selves are mainly like usually keeping like Princess Aurora in the dream world, keeping her from waking up and kind of tormenting her, teasing her too, at the same time, teasing her with all these different visions and and stuff. Now, again, it's a good thing that Cersei's found a good friend in Snow White, as she's coming to terms with everything that's going on and what she just learned from the Dark Fairy, and researching through the Odd Sisters stuff. I also want to point out that it's worth noting that this book started off with what the previous left off with, the aftermath of Ursula's death. Despite everything Ursula did to her, Cersei still had a bit of love for the Sea Witch, whom she had at one point considered a good friend. So she and Nanny decided to honor Ursula by giving her a proper funeral, in which all of King Triton's daughters, except Ariel, surprisingly showed up to pay their respects as well. Apparently, word got out about how Triton's mistreatment of his sister Ursula is what led to her becoming so damn evil in the first place, proving yet again that not everything is as black and white as it seems. And it is pretty cool for us to get an older version of Snow White here, an older Snow White who notices she has lines in her face that are aging her, and that she has kids who are at their own castles. Pretty weird to see Snow actually talk to her mother, Grimhilda, aka the Evil Queen in the Magic Mirror. You would think Snow would be angry at her, but no. She forgave her, which I find interesting. Well, it was kind of hinted at in the first book's epilogue, but it's confirmed here that once Grimhilda had died, it seems all of the love she had for Snow before becoming evil came back to her once her spirit became trapped in the magic mirror. And ever since then, she's looked after Snow as a loving mother would, even after doing present events. In fact, it seems she's been using whatever magic she has left to prevent the Odd Sisters from harming Snow or her loved ones for years. But still, it hasn't stopped them from haunting her in her dreams, giving her bad nightmares. Yeah, the Odd Sisters are something else, man. But I like that we also get to Snow's perspective on the matter, stating that the woman who tried to kill her all those years ago was not the same woman that loved and raised her as a child when her dad was away from home. Of course, she's speaking metaphorically. She's come to realize that her mom was grieving, even though she herself was grieving from the death of her father, and for a while had no one as a support system. Despite all that, she still chose not to hate her stepmother for what she did, which shows the amount of maturity and heart she has, which I think Cersei definitely needed in a friendship, which made me really cherish the friendship that blossomed between the two of them. Which is ironic due to the fact that their mothers were the ones who tormented Snow as a kid and played a huge part in her stepmother's descent to madness. And I like how Snow White's dynamic with her mom parallels with Cersei's and the Odd Sisters. Despite having a lot of good reasons to hate her moms for everything they've done, Cersei can't bring it to herself to hate them completely and still have a measure of love to the point of trying to wake them from their sleeping spell. Though she still does have her moments where she wonders if that's a good idea. Again, given their track record so far, yes, they did ultimately help stop Ursula in the previous book to rescue her, but they also did hurt Ariel and other innocent people to get what they want. Plus, she's still pretty sore at the sisters for them hiding the truth of her birth. Finding out Nanny and Snow White. Oh, by the way, finding out Nanny and Cinderella's fairy godmother are sisters was also an interesting plot point. Scenes like Maleficent fighting off the Fairy King Oberon and the Tree Lords makes me wish these novels would one day be adapted into animation, because the way Serena describes the scene, it sounded like it could possibly be a badass moment for a Disney film if Disney had got would get some of their best animators working on this scene. Still a cool moment to read. For now, all we can do is visualize in our heads until it does get adapted. Hopefully. Most importantly, I personally think this book did a better job at giving us a sympathetic Maleficent story while still staying true to the character and reminding us why she is indeed the mistress of all evil, unlike what the live-action Maleficent movies did. Learning through Maleficent's flashback that she had a strong bond with Nanny is what makes it hard when we go into the present timeline and Maleficent just looks at her with nothing but hatred and resentment because she feels like she was abandoned by the one person she truly looked at as a mother. Then you got Nanny, who still loves Maleficent as if she's her daughter and explains that she only found out recently that Maleficent was alive after that incident years ago. One must remember that it was mentioned that she lost her memory of even being a fairy sometime after the incident and only regained it sometime between the events of the Beast Within novel and the Poor Unfortunate Soul novel. No matter what Nanny says, it seemed like excuses to Maleficent, who was not only angry for Nanny for not looking for her after she found out she was alive, but also giving her daughter to the good fairies, whom she hated and blamed for the incident. It's at this moment when we're given a bombshell. Just like when the Odd Sister created a new Cersei out of guilt for what happened to their actual sister, they helped Maleficent create a daughter for her own, that being Aurora. So Maleficent is Aurora's mom. But like I said, they created her with the same method they created their own daughter, which means Maleficent had to give up all of the good she had, all the good that she had left in her into Aurora. But unlike the Odd Sisters, who still loved their daughter, this left Maleficent completely heartless and unable to love Aurora, so she gave her away, afraid of what she might do. But if you ask me, if she completely lacked any love for her daughter, she wouldn't have gone through the trouble even protecting the baby from herself. Just saying. But man, learning that the three good fairies used to bully Maleficent all the time as kids really made me dislike their characters greatly, almost as much as the fairy godmother. In this book, Serena, similar to what she did with King Triton in the previous book, goes out of her way to making us the readers not like the quote unquote good guys. Not only are Fiona, Flora, and Merryweather are jerks, but so is the fairy freaking godmother. A part of me is willing to forgive the three good fairies due to the fact that they were just kids when it happened and do seem apologetic when they find out that Aurora was Maleficent's daughter. However, I can't say the same thing for the fairy godmother. It's this truly makes me look at them in a different light. I'm a bit conflicted in the sense of how well the book does accomplish its goal at making you really sympathizing with Maleficent, because it's not all of her fault why she is the way she is, just like Ursula. But in doing so, it completely villainizes the characters who prior to this book have always been seen as the good guys. Though I as I continue thinking about it, it might not be all that, all bad. I guess it depends on your perspective, because the Cinderella movie, it makes you it totally makes sense for us to like the fairy godmother and see her as the good guy, since she's helping Cinderella, who definitely fits the fairies quota of individuals they choose to save. Unfortunately, mainly due to her appearance, Maleficent doesn't fit into that quota. So I guess Serena's interpretation of the fairies aren't too far-fetched, and I do get the message she's trying to get across here, but I'm going to wait until another video in which I review the sixth book to go more in detail on said message, because I feel like it doesn't really get fully fleshed out till the sixth book. With that said, I still don't think the idea of villainizing the good guy and sympathizing with the bad guy was executed that well when it comes to King Triton and Ursula and Poor Unfortunate So. It was definitely gratifying having Oberon, the Fairy King, who definitely wanted to punish Maleficent for her crimes. At the same time, he scolded the fairy godmother for the part she played in Maleficent's story. She spent so much time treating a young Maleficent like she was a demon, simply for how different she was from the other fairies, and because she had a vague premonition of Maleficent growing up evil, that she didn't realize that treating her like she was evil is what leads to her becoming exactly that, evil, the mistress of all evil. Gotta love the irony. Still, we the readers are still left with the question as to why Maleficent would want to kill her own daughter. Well, the reason isn't revealed to us till much later, near the climax of the story, as she's talking to Grimhilda, which, by the way, I love that Serena gave this dynamic between these two. Anyways, during their conversation, that Maleficent, it's revealed that Maleficent, thinks that since Aurora is her daughter, there's a good possibility that she might have inherited her powers, and fears that similar to her daughter might transform into a dragon on her 16th birthday and kills all of those she cares about. Basically, she doesn't want Aurora to go through the same thing she did when she spent all those years thinking she killed Nanny during the incident. While I do understand the reasoning here, I gotta question the logic here as well. Maleficent thinks by killing her daughter, she'll be saving her from the despair of killing her loved ones. if she were to go out of control with her powers. Keep in mind, Aurora doesn't even know any of this, including the part that Maleficent is her mother. You could say that the loss of her humanity is what makes Maleficent's reasonings and methods so twisted. And a part of me would even agree, but I don't know. I feel like there are other ways of, of resolving the situation than simply killing Aurora. But hey, it could also be that part of me have always been fine with the idea that Maleficent put a deadly curse on a baby simply because she wasn't invited to a christening. But honestly, I definitely prefer this version of the Sleeping Beauty story over the live action version. For the first time in Serena's villains book, I found myself dreading the ending, because if you have watched the 1959 animated movie, then you already know how this ends. It's funny how in the movie, when the fairies turn Maleficent's time pet Raven, who is also her trusted companion, Diablo, into stone, I was cheering for the fairies. But when the same thing happened in this novel, it left me with almost the same rage Maleficent had for the fairies. It's important to note that the incident from years ago happened because the quote unquote good fairies had stolen Diablo, which led to Maleficent becoming furious and transforming into her dragon form that caused the destruction of the fairyland. So at that moment, I almost felt sad. I also felt sad for Maleficent and was hoping that somehow the story wouldn't end with her fated death. But alas, that's exactly what happened. And you know what she was warned. And you know what, she was warned by her friend Grimhilda that it was foretold that this would end with Prince Philip killing her. But she still chose to go along with her plan. She chose to defy fate and destiny, convincing herself that she's stronger than all of that. Like I said, I really did have a blast reading this book. And I feel like when it comes to integrating plot threads from previous books together, this book was the best. Also, I really prefer the backstory Serena has given Maleficent over the other villains. I've I've heard complaints over you know, from other readers for both this and the unfortunate soul for not for not focusing enough on the title characters and instead focusing so much on the quote unquote irrelevant subplots. But I disagree, and I feel like the subplots not only add layers to the main story being told through the villains, but also does a good job at world building for this Disney universe Serena has put together through these books, and feel like it's paid off with this book in particular. Now, now it's now it said now with all that said, the villain story isn't exactly over yet, as I hope to someday review the next entry in Serena Valentino's villain series, which tells the story of Tangled in Mother Knows Best, a tale of the old witch. Now, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more videos like these. I hope you enjoyed this video, and like I said, hit the notification bell if you want to be notified whenever I do post these videos. Like I said, this video was a long time coming. Like I said, I've been meaning to make this video for a while, but I kept getting busy with life and stuff like that, guys. So hopefully the gap won't be as big for the next entry in this series. Hopefully, I hope to have the review for the fifth book coming out, you know, hopefully sooner than later. But hey, we'll see. Comment below what your guys thoughts on the book. Did you enjoy it? Did you dislike the book? And out of the first 4 books Serena wrote, which one's your favorite out of the 4 books? Is it the Evil Queen? Is it the Beast book? Is it the Ursula book or is it the Maleficent book? Like I said, comment below. Let me know what your answer is. But yeah, if like I said, stay beast.